Let's go back to Chris Matthews in Washington, who I believe has just wrangled New York Senator Charles Schumer. Chris?
Well, somebody has. Thank you, Rachel. Let's bring in Chuck Schumer, the senior senator from New York. Senator, a lot of tonight's focus is going to be on one of your specialties, and that is finance and taxation. And, of course, the people who make a lot of money up in your part of the country, up on Wall Street. Do you think it's what we're seeing here with Mitt Romney paying just 15% or less on $20 million in income a year is something that will arouse the American people to action?
Well, I believe that income equality, jobs, the economy has been the issue for a long time. The fact that Mitt Romney paid so little in taxes will symbolize some of that, absolutely, and probably add even more momentum to the argument. But, you know, Chris, this is a year where we have the upper hand. Last year was cut, 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 and that had the Republicans with the upper hand. But when it's tax equality, when it's the economy, when it's jobs, we do. And the president's speech is going to hit it out of the park on those issues.
Well, the Senate Finance Committee is still run by Democrats, yourself included. Do you think you can get rid of carried interest, that special provision in the tax code that allows people like Romney to have income that's really earned income declared as capital gains?
I think there's going to be a careful look at the whole tax code, carried interest among them. And I do think we will be making a big push to see that those at the highest income pay their fair share. The issue that's caught the popular attention is the tax on incomes over $1 million across the board. I think that will stay as the number one tax issue. And if you look at recent polls, even among white, male, non-college educated, Democrats are gaining rapidly, and I think it's because of that issue.
Are you willing to vote to get rid of the carried interest provision,
yes.
which allows people like Mitt to make that kind of tax break?
Yes, I have voted for it before and would vote for it again. It's fair. It should not just be done at finance, but any carried interest, whether it's venture capital or oil and gas or anything else, as well as financial, should be included. That's how the president's proposed it, and that's how we've done it over the last few years.
Let's switch to the big picture. How does the president make a case for a second term tonight? I assume, I'll set it up this way, he has to make it that the second term is going to be better in terms of people's well-being than the first term, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think the main thrust of the president is going to be, look, the economy's gotten somewhat better. It has a way to go. We're in a deep hole. Who's going to focus on you and make sure when the economy gets better, that things get better for you? Don't forget that even between 2001 and 2007, median income, middle-class income went down. The middle class knows that, and they're looking for somebody who's going to focus on them. I believe that the president will have a big advantage over his opponents on that issue. This idea that it's all because we regulate companies too much in the face of what happened in 2008 is just not going to wash, except among a small group of people who are already Republican.
It seems like Republicans want this whole, and you've been watching this, I guess, as much as anyone else, this whole Republican debate. It's all about blaming the president for conditions as they are, whereas the president since Kansas has been arguing, no, it's about division of the spoils. It's really about fairness. What is it about? Is it about the conditions we're facing now?
Well,
should that be how voters vote, or should it be about how you want to, well, tell it your way. Tell it your way.
Yeah, I wouldn't quite put it the way you've put it. I say, who's going to do more to get the middle class moving again? And I don't think there's much doubt about it. The president, I think for the first 6 or 8 months of this year, focused too much on just cutting government. And he had this belief that he could come to some kind of balanced compromise with our Republican colleagues. That didn't happen. And now he's of the mind, I'm going to do what needs to be done to help the middle class, propose it. If they oppose it, so be it. If they pass it, so be it. It's a win-win for him either way, as long as he stays focused on the issue that the public cares most about and gives us the upper hand, and that is the economy, jobs, and income equality for the middle class.
What can he do right now for the middle-class family watching that will change their lives in the next 4 to 5 years?
Well, there are things he can do. He can propose legislation, obviously, and I wouldn't write it off. I have a prediction. It's contrarian. 5-6 months from now, when there's a Republican nominee, they're going to be forced to move to the middle, not have this fight for who can be further right. And as they move to the middle, they're going to lead the Republican Party in the House and Senate to the middle. So I think we're actually going to get some things done that you wouldn't think we could do right now. But at the same time, there are things he can do administratively, as well as lay out a case for who can do better in 2013. And that will not only benefit him, but Democrats in the House and Senate.
What do you think of watching these debates we've been covering on MSNBC all these weeks now? Do you think Newt Gingrich's hot hand? He's now 4 points ahead in the Gallup poll. He's come back 27 points in a week. What's that about?
Well, I think what it's about is, look, somebody can't be extremely pro-choice and then become extremely pro-life, extremely pro-gay rights and then extremely anti-gay rights. You can't flip on every issue. At least Newt Gingrich, for all the problems of his personality, has had some consistency. He's smart, and occasionally he'll be willing to break with Republican orthodoxy, such as on immigration, which Mitt Romney never does. He always seems to be just putting his finger to the wind. The public smells that. They may not know the details of his policies versus Gingrich's, but for all Newt's problems, I think they feel that at least he's a little more sincere in his public guise than Mitt Romney. I think Mitt Romney is an extremely weak candidate, and the only reason he did so well in Iowa and New Hampshire is he had a huge financial advantage with the super PACs. Once Newt Gingrich is able to at least equal that, as he did in South Carolina, as he did in Florida, he's going to do a lot better.
Good punditry right there. Senator, you'd have figured this one out. I agree, because I completely agree with you. Well said, I think. Anyway, thank you, Senator Charles Schumer. Looking across the aisle at the Republican fight quite effectively, I think. Back to you, Rachel.